Hi friends, today we are going to discuss another design pattern called pipes and filter pattern. So the premise of this pattern is very simple. Let's say you want to do a particular task and which is being done by a single application, and this task may consist of subtasks like A, B, C and D, right? And now let's again we want to create another application which wants to do another processing in which we require the processing like A, B, and F, right? So these are monolith applications, and there is no way you can reuse the functionalities that you had developed for A and B in your scenario 1 in scenario 2, right? So you have to either build duplicity in this, and these all components are very closely coupled. All these components are closely coupled and they cannot be reused. So what we do is, instead of having a monolith architecture, we divide this application into separate components like A, B, C, and D. So these are your components, and they are connected by pipes. Now, the use for pipe is for buffering and controlling the rate at which any application can get the data. So if you want to do any particular computation which is logically bounded by this, what you can do is you can publish it into a pipe or a messaging system, which is then consumed by service A or task A or filter A in this pattern. So this is pipe and this is filter. Filter is synonymous to a particular task, and pipe is synonymous to a messaging system. Pipe helps in buffering and controlling the rate at which a service or task is being done. And through this, what you can do is you can also create multiple services A or multiple tasks for A. For example, if task A is very critical or requires more resources, in this type of monolith application, for increasing the speed of your system, you have to increase the number of monoliths that you have deployed, right? So you have to deploy another monolith in which all the components A, B, and C, D are present, which is going to not be which is going to be not cost efficient, because you are increasing the components C and D which are not required or which can be done away with a single task. But in this case, you can individually scale your task as per your requirements. You can individually decide what type of hardware resources you need for a particular task. Let's say this task needs GPU, this task needs memory intensive processing, and this task needs high CPU. So what you can do is you can have different systems for these tasks. They are connected by pipes, so they can be scaled separately, they can be deployed separately, and they can be connected. For example, if you have to use another type of system A, B, E, and F. So here, this task is similar to this. This is the same task. So you can basically redeploy this task or reuse this task, reducing your development overhead and you reducing your management overhead. Also, sending changes in these types of application where you have basically used pipe and filter pattern is easier, because if you want to make changes in this system, so you have to do testing for this system only. As long as it adheres to the contracts provided by the previous pipe and the next pipe, it is going to function well. Whereas in the monolith system, you have to do complete testing, and it increases your overhead. It also reduces coupling between these two tasks. So in this case, there was a very strong coupling between these tasks in a monolith application, whereas since in this scenario they are connected by pipes, so there is very low coupling. They can be, for example, if you want to upgrade this system, you can drop and replace it with service B dash, and everything is going to work fine as long as contracts for the next pipe are adhered. Contracts from next pipe are adhered, I mean the message in which the message format in which the messages are pushed in this pipe should be similar for B as well as B dash, so that there is no notice of any change in the downstream services. C and D won't require to know that a particular change has been done. Also, your single component is not going to become a bottleneck, because if any system becomes a bottleneck, then you can individually scale that system. You can use auto scaling functionalities to scale that system as per your requirement. Another thing that we have to consider is since we have broken down our application into multiple tasks and filters, we can co-locate these tasks or these filters at the places where they are nearest to its data source. For example, if for task A, it needs data which is stored in Asia region, then this task can be located in Asia region, so that the network latencies for fetching data from Asia are less. Similarly, if task B requires data which is present in Africa region, then you can basically run this task in Africa region, and only the messages are being transferred from Asia region to Africa region. So the basic premise is you can run your task near to your data, near wherever your data is, so as to cost optimize your application and so as to speed optimize your application. Also, in pipes and filter pattern, we have to ensure that all our components which we have are resilient and there is no single point of failure. We have to ensure that the buffering system or queuing system that we use, shown in green, is also fault tolerant and highly available, so that if one instance of our buffering system or queuing system goes down, it is not affecting our entire pipeline. Similarly, we have to ensure that if any instance of our application or task goes down, then our pipeline are not affected. So for this, what you can do is you can run multiple instances of each of these tasks, so that even if one task goes down, another task processor can uh, continue to work and keep the pipeline running. Now, one very important pattern that we can use in this is, let's suppose you are doing A, then B, then C, and then D. So this is a distributed architecture where the work is being done on multiple nodes, and they are individually scaling out. They are individually responsible for their own task. So what can happen is, if you want to reverse the work that is done by this pipeline, what you can do is you can create compensating transactions for each of these. Though compensating transactions are not necessarily in the exact reverse order, but the general idea is you can create compensating transaction for the work done by each of these tasks. So if you want to revert the work done, you can execute the reverse order pipeline, or you can execute the compensating transaction pipeline. It can be reverse of the exact operation, or it can be reverse of the business logic that you're trying to do. It all depends on this, but the premise is you can create compensating pipeline pattern to revert the work that you have done to pipes and filter pattern. Now let's see some of the advantages and disadvantages of not compensating pattern, but pipes and filter pattern. Obviously, if you have a monolith, all the work is being done in the same instance or in the same code base. So maintaining this can become difficult, but complexity of your architecture increases in pipes in filter pattern, because you have multiple moving components which you have to monitor. There are multiple points of failure that can be present in a system, though you can reduce their failures by having fault tolerance and high availability, but it is going to make your system complex. So before adopting this pattern, you have to ensure that it is providing enough benefits in your use case. Then you have to ensure that the data that is flowing through your pipeline is resilient and reliable, so that the data is not lost during the pipeline operation. For example, if there is any unhandled exception in this worker, which may lead to a loss of packet. For example, if packet was flowing from here to here, and then here the packet was not passed to here, but it was dropped, then this kind of cases should be handled. And what you can do is you can create a dead letter queue where unhandled messages can be dropped or can be stored for later debugging cases. Another thing that we have to keep in mind is idempotency. So if a particular work is being done, let's consider this yellow work only. And if particular work is being done, then at this point, if suppose this instance goes down, or the worker that was doing this yellow work goes down, then what is going to happen when another worker for B repicks this task? So if B dash repicks this task, it will reprocess the item that was published in the messaging queue. So you have to write your systems in such a way that reprocessing of the item should keep your state consistent. It should not lead to any business losses. It should not lead to an inconsistent state in your system. It should be handled. Similarly, there can be cases where your messages are processed twice. For example, if B goes down, then B dash is going to do the work. Then you have to ensure that repeated processing or for a particular item or a particular event does not lead to an inconsistent state in your system. They have to be handled, because it's a truth in these types of systems that these repeated messages are going to be there. Failures are going to be there. You have to design your system keeping this in mind. We have another scenario in which these entities or workers need to do independent processing. There should be no close coupling between A and B. They should be independent. We should not have a context that this result is being provided by A or not. It should not have any context or hard coupling between them. From that I mean is, there can be two pipelines, for example, this pipeline and this pipeline. So B is doing a work, or there can be another pipeline like G, which is doing work like this. Is doing work like this, right? Okay. Let's assume that it is pushing message here, and we are basically sending the data from here to here to here, right? So what is happening is, first of all, there is a yellow pipeline where the data is flowing from A, B, C, D. Then there is another pipeline called A, B, E, and F. And then there is another pipeline A, B, C, A, B, G. This is G, G, and F. So F should not have any context, or F should not make any assumptions that data was provided by C or G, by E or G. So what we can do is we can keep a context in the either the payload that this message was provided by G or E for any decision on which it has to take, but we should avoid making any close coupling between the workers, so that they can be used independently. They can be used for processing independently. Now let's see in which scenarios is the pipes and filter pattern most useful. It is most useful when you can divide your application into multiple subtasks which can be run independently, and these tasks can or may need independent scaling. For example, this needs a different requirement, it has different scaling requirement, it has different hardware requirement, and this type of task has a different hardware requirement. So in these types of scenarios, we need pipes and filter pattern. Also, this pipes and filter pattern is useful for distributed scenarios in which you have large amounts of data, and you need to do processing which can be used by other applications also. So in those cases also pipes and filter pattern can help, and it also helps reduce cost when you have a very big system that you're handling, and it provides flexibility in your system so that you can have drop-in replacement for your systems. But this type of system is not helpful when you have a monolith application which cannot be segregated into multiple tasks. If it cannot be segregated into multiple tasks or it cannot be broken down, then this types of system cannot use pipes and filter pattern. Some other pattern may be suitable for those applications. So there's one more point when not to use this pipes and filter pattern is, let's say you have heavy dependency, all these tasks have heavy dependency on a particular data source, then these tasks can be broken down, but it can lead to a single point, they're all accessing a single point, so they are not ideally independent of each other. They can be broken down, but it depends on your use case if they should be broken down or not. So this is another type of scenario where we must decide whether to use pipes and filter pattern or not. So that's all for the pipes and filter pattern. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know your views and comments. Thank you. Have a nice day.